Adrian?
All right, and speaking of Twitter and Elon Musk, trending all over, including on Twitter, as the conversation over how the platform might change under his ownership continues. Now, despite a lot of criticism and skepticism, the deal is a go. Musk putting up much of the financing for the $44 billion offer on his own. This is also intensifying a debate over free speech. For more on this, we're joined right now by Ohio Congressman Warren Davidson, a Republican and member of the House Financial Services Committee. Good morning to you. I have to say, I checked you out on Twitter, some of your most recent tweets replying to those who say social media should be more moderated. What's the difference for you between moderation and regulation?
Well, look, Twitter, nothing's making Twitter silence conservatives. Nothing's making, Disney make some of the decisions they're doing. They are private companies. But I think the values that people have, come to recognize as American values is we have public discourse and, you don't put certain things online. And I'd like to see them more vigorously filtering out, porn streaming to kids than silencing, the idea that there's such a thing as natural immunity, for example. So these social media platforms felt the need to weigh in on everything in a very one-sided way for a long time. And I think Elon Musk's observation is, you're destroying value. I could make this company more valuable simply by optimizing the area under the curve. So put the bell curve out there where you're covering most people and more people are going to use the platform. What a crazy idea.
What a crazy idea. Well, I think a lot of people would consider whether more free speech on social media platforms means more hate speech. And is it Elon Musk's responsibility to protect users against that?
Well, look, if you look at what goes on day to day, most of the speech people engage in isn't hate speech. People get along and have dialogue with their neighbors. And frankly, the right thing for hate speech is to have not Twitter moderate that, but for a swarm of other people to say, hey, that's totally unacceptable. And what's wrong with seeing something that's really hateful getting ratioed on the platform? I think the public discourse can handle it. And I think Elon Musk feels that way to some extent as well, based on his actions.
Elon Musk's version of Twitter, say some, will lead to more disinformation. In a recent tweet, Musk said that Twitter must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember, Max Boot saying, the way to protect our civilization is with more content moderation, not less. And, how do you defend freedom by silencing people? I think we need to be less like China and more like America.
Who exactly determines what freedom looks like in this country? Who has the moral compass for the online community?
I think we, the people. I think it's a participatory system. Of course, we have a republic. And, when we look at our Bill of Rights, free speech, the First Amendment covers not just free speech, but, not just no state established religion, but the freedom to exercise your religion, the right to peaceably assemble. And in a way, this is a peaceable assembly online and a public discourse. And you look at press, for example, you've seen, to the extent that these social media platforms become a way to share what's going on in the press, they engaged in very one-sided silencing of news at a very critical time with, for example, the Hunter Biden case, or very distorted views of news when it comes to just basic things like medical science, as people were wrestling with how to solve a problem in the public health issues. They silenced anybody who didn't go with the official narrative. And I think that's dangerous for science normally, and frankly, contradictory to science in certain cases, like denying the fact that your body produces a natural immune response to viruses.
Congressman Davidson, thank you so much for joining us. I think this conversation will certainly continue, and we could continue to talk about it for another hour, but we're out of time. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
There is more money news to talk about this morning. This one involves a very, very fortunate person in Arizona who is waking up $473 million richer. News Nation has learned the winning Powerball ticket was sold in Arizona. Here are the winning numbers drawn on Wednesday.